And Daryl, you're absolutely right. When you go to roll over your debt, it's going to be at a much higher level if you can find financing. So,
If you can find the financing,
right,
oh God.
right.
Yeah,
So,
like you could be willing to pay 10% and no one will give it to you. That's what
right,
happened to me in 2008 or 9. Like I would have
exactly.
paid anything. Nobody was giving me a
The
penny.
US is having a lot more issues with delinquencies on buildings and stuff. Their financing in the States is really tied to the asset, right? So like they're buying a building, they don't have a lot of personal guarantees. It's very just like, okay, you know what? Maybe you're just walking away from the building and or the unit or whatever it is because you can't make your payments anymore. But Canada, I mean, you got a lot of REITs and pension funds and like really heavily capitalized companies, or if they're individuals, they've got a lot of personal guarantees in the market and stuff like that. So it's a much more stable market in commercial, as far as like whether or not someone's going to be going power of sale on a downtown office building or something, right? Like it's much less likely. But the value of those buildings are dropping as interest rates are going up. Those values of those properties are going down,
We
and it
gotta
definitely
see. We're gonna
they have to
see something big
they got to put more
soon.
money in. They got to put more capital in. They've got to pay down some of those loans. They have to take away money they would put somewhere else and put it into those assets because
Somebody's
they're
fucked.
on the hook no matter what, right?
Somebody at this point has to be coming out soon with a portfolio that's fucked up. Like, how do you avoid that at this point? Like, rates went up so much. It's insane. Like, anybody that had, like, there's some portfolios that have like all the mortgages roll over at the same time, right? They're all under like one big umbrella loan. That can you imagine if you were at like 2%, 2.5%, and now you're like, where are you? 8%, 9%?
So two points to make here. And TK, you're absolutely right. The Canadian real estate market is dominated by pension funds and REITs. The pension funds are incredibly deep pockets. Like they have tens of billions of dollars under management. So they will weather this storm. REITs, let's come back to that in a second. Also look at the asset classes. Retail is doing it's fairly stable. So I'm not sure that there's been a drop off in value on retail assets. Industrial assets, they're the flavor of the month, and they have been for the last 3 or 4 years. Their value, if anything, is skyrocketed. Rents are way up, availability is way down, vacancy rates are negligible. Office is the huge question mark. Should values be coming down? Yeah, because what's their leasing activity these days? But also don't forget, office leases are done on 5, 10, 15-year terms. So it's when those leases start rolling over and you have to replace it with a new lease, what's that new lease going for, if you can. So that's when you're going to start seeing the vacancy rates in the office market really start playing a role in this. And Daryl, you're absolutely right. When you go to roll over your debt, it's going to be at a much higher level if you can find financing.
If you can find the financing, oh God.
Right.
Yeah, like you could be willing to pay 10% and no one will give it to you. That's what happened to me in 2008 or 9. Like I would have paid anything. Nobody was giving me a penny. I was fucked.
Yeah. And so I would really cast a wary eye on any REIT that has a big office holding. That I think is going to be the problem child. If it's owned by a pension fund, they'll shrug their shoulders and just say it'll get better at some point in the future. We'll just wait. But the REITs or private ownership that has to refinance, that'll be where, like I said, that's the problem child.
Office REITs.
Toronto, yeah, office specific ones. Toronto added 11 million square feet of office space prior to the pandemic. What's the likelihood of anybody building an office tower? New plans. I know there's some that are underway right now. I mean, we've got some beautiful new buildings downtown and in the East Harbor and stuff like that that are coming, that are like, again, hundreds of thousands of square feet each building. But what's the likelihood now of somebody trying to build a new construction? Is there
Well,
a
hold on.
demand for like a modern building where, you know, they'll be able to come up with these features that the buildings built 5 years ago don't have? And that's where Amazon's going to want to be, or that's where, you know, Meta is going to want to be. Like, you see that that's possible.
A lot
So
of the new buildings, though, are building office within the residential, like in a mixed kind of scenario. So, like a lot of the newer stuff that was applied for in the last 5 years have like this office component in like the middle level, right? And they're all trying to figure out how to restructure that now. So,
yeah, and you're right. I don't know that anybody's planning on starting construction on a new office tower for the foreseeable future. We've got enough right now. There has been a flight to quality, so the new towers are pretty much leased up, and the most recent one I can think of is probably the Well.
yeah, for sure.
Right?
Didn't somebody just back out of a big one at the Well?
Yeah, so Shopify had, I think,
Shopify.
200, 300,000 square feet.
Oh, man.
And then they came out with their work from home policy. So they're desperately trying to sublease all that space, but they're paying for it.
Oh, they're
So,
still paying for it.
well, they're legally on the hook to pay their rent. So
What a great tenant.
yeah, so the landlord is saying, well, it's a shame you're not using this beautiful, brand new state-of-the-art building,
Yeah.
but thank you for the rent.
Yeah.
What that's really impacting is the retail component at the bottom of the building, right?
Right.
All
That's a lot of people. Yeah.
right? All those office workers that were supposed to be shopping and eating in the building aren't there. However, it also has a sizable residential component that is coming on stream. So the people who will actually live in the project, they'll help the retail
They'll fund
component, but the office
It hasn't closed yet, though. The
It
people
looks
haven't closed
so
yet.
great. The Well, have you been down there?
Yeah,
Holy
it
cow.
does. Yeah.
It's like, oh, magnificent, beautiful. What a great job.
Yeah, so that's a microcosm of what you're seeing in Toronto, right? Well, retail is doing fine. Restaurants all seem to have bounced back. It's the office sector that's a real laggard. And again, it's the fight for return to home versus return to office versus work from home. And if you can do your job from home, you're going to want to do that. Right. But there are pros and cons. There are efficiencies to staying home. But if your organization values its culture and collegiality and community, as we do, like because of what we do and how we do it, we function far better in person as a team in the same spot rather than on Zoom calls or sitting at
most companies do, you know, like there's no, like, maybe they don't realize that, or they really just need to restructure because of other, you know, financial impacts that the economy has on them right now. But I mean, when is a manager not going to be a better manager when, you know, he's on the same floor as you, or, you know, one of your colleagues that you have a relationship, the synergy between you two is going to be better when you guys get to go out for lunch and eat together. Like there's a huge story. I think there's very few businesses that I would say work better when people are all just sitting at home in their underwear on a computer screen. Hey guys, thanks for watching our clips channel. Why don't you go and check out some more clips? We got lots of other good content somewhere over here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Boom.
That was good.
That was good. I like that. That was good.